Google Gemini 2.5, Chatgpt 4 with full text image creation, Deepseek 3.0, Notebook LM, and the Google AI Studio. Today we have some major developments in the world of AI that are guaranteed to get you tons of traffic to your website so you can make money. And in today's live stream, I'm going to walk you through everything step by step. We're going to take a look at how these tools work and how you can use them in a super simple way to get tons of traffic and make tons of money. But first, we're going to need a bigger cup of coffee because today, live, I'm going to show you everything start to finish. How to use tools like Deepseek 3.0, Google Gemini, Notebook with this new mind map feature, Chatgpt, text-to-image creator, and more. Because let's face it, there are tons of people right now using AI to get millions and millions of visitors each and every day. The only difference between them and you is what they know. And after watching this entire live stream, you will be in the know. Because generating traffic with AI is easy. And I'm going to prove it to you right here, right now. Smash the like button and watch this entire training, and I'll show you exactly how to use these new AI tools to get tons of traffic. Come on, let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about how to use AI to get tons and tons of traffic. This is something I've been doing for a long time, long before AI, and today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how easy it is using stuff like Google AI Studio, Gemini, Deepseek, and even the new ChatGPT image creator with actual text, which is really cool. So what we can see here is we can do all kinds of things in ChatGPT 4, where we could go through and we can have all kinds of different stuff like, let's do daily online side hustles or whatever it is, and you can actually have it create an image with your text on it, which is really cool. This works really good for Pinterest and different things like that. Now, I'm going to have all the notes available over here at AIProfitScoop.com, but first let's dive in and let's talk about the understanding of what we need to know. First of all, when doing AI content, it's very important to have human oversight first, where you're going through and you're actually looking at the AI content, making sure that it's good, making sure that it's fact-checked and everything like that. This is super, super important. AI needs direction. Understand your audience, their pain points, their language. Definitely focus when you're doing SEO on EEAT, which is expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, and different things like that. What we're doing is we're using AI to assist us. Number 2, or 1.2, we have keyword research, topic clusters, and mapping, where you're doing keyword mapping, understanding your topic more than just, hey, let's go for all these keywords because people search for them. What we're doing is we're going through and we're doing this in a specific way to focus on people. People would not read 19 articles around the same keyword just because it gets traffic. People would not go out there and go for certain keywords just because they're searched for. So what we want to do is we want to understand our market in a very, very specific way and have it assist us with those clusters. One of the cool things we can do is we can actually put info from other websites, competitor websites and things like that, and understand their content strategy before making our content strategy, which is super, super important. So going through this and understanding it is a big one. Also, grounding with AI, look at your base AI tools and start using them in a specific way to get the traffic you want. Now, there's a lot of tools out there. They're growing daily. They're going through. New additions are being added all the time. And what we want to do is make sure that we're using these in a good, ethical way to get the result that we want, which is traffic. Now, what I find with AI is it's very big on helping you do the research that before would take a long time to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different AI channels and traffic channels that we're going to go through. Now, before we get started, I want to talk to you about two very, very important things over here, which are strategy and interesting facts. What we want to do is we want to take a look at our content, because a lot of people are going to go through and they are going to look at a deep type of content where you go through and you say, okay, let's say I'm in how to do magic tricks. It'd be how to do magic tricks, best magic tricks with cards or whatever. Instead of actually looking at, well, what are the tricks called? How can I go for that? What are the sleight of hand type things that I could go for. Okay, very important when you're looking at things like maybe recipes or food or something like that. We don't want to think, okay, here's the top spinach recipes. We want to think, okay, well, what does spinach help with? What does it pair good with? Then we have a lot more content, because I could say, oh, hey, spinach pairs well with Parmesan or something like that. Now I have a lot more content to go for. Also, we want to look at our strategy. Okay, very, very important. Your strategy determines everything you do and every traffic you don't get. Having the wrong strategy will make you struggle. Having the right strategy will get you a lot of traffic very fast. Also, another thing to look at is interesting facts. Can I take my niche, pair it with interesting facts, and make content that people would like on social media, on SEO, video, or whatever it is, to make this work in a very, very specific way? So going through and looking at this, we want to understand exactly where everything is going, okay? So now we're going to go through and we are going to say, how do we generate traffic across channels using AI? Here are the main traffic types you are going to hear. There are derivatives of them, but these are the main ones. Number one, organic search or SEO. This is where you appear at the top of Google, the top of Bing, or whatever search engine you're trying to go for. Now, in the up and coming search engines, you are going to start to appear in Chatgpt, Perplexity, and different things like that. Also in Google AI. These things are changing. There are ways to utilize it. One of the trends that I have noticed very recently with social traffic is that social traffic stands on its own. Like if you were to go out there and look at the different places, like let's say Facebook. Okay, Facebook gets a lot of traffic. They make a lot of money. So understanding that and saying, oh, wait a minute, how would my content look? I'm doing SEO. How would it look if I was doing a Facebook strategy or a Instagram strategy or a TikTok strategy or whatever it is you're looking for? How are we going to get in there and use them in a very, very specific way? So let's take a look at the next one here. We have organic SEO. We have paid search. Okay, this one's very, very important. One second, just got to get my little pen thing so I can write stuff down here. So we have paid search, pay-per-click. This is where you're going on Google, where you're going on different paid searches. Thank you. Taboola, different things like that, and you're going through and you're getting traffic that way. Paid traffic is basically where you pay anywhere for traffic to your website. This could be a display ad, it could be a banner ad, it could be pay-per-click, it could be paid per click on search, all different types of things. Next up, we're going to look at social, which is organic and paid. So we can go through, we can get social media traffic via, pretty much anything. You can go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and you can get that traffic. Also, Pinterest is a big one. We're going to be talking about Pinterest here because obviously with the new Chatgpt 4 update, this is going to be huge. Okay, we see a lot of these things going on. We're also going to look at Deepseek as well. Another one is referral. This is where you have links from other sites known as backlinks, or also known as affiliate or referral traffic, where someone is saying, hey, go over here and check this out. Share traffic also. Next, we're going to be looking at email. Email traffic is a game changer if you do it properly. I get a lot of traffic from email. The key is in having something to give them. Notice how in this video, I'm like, hey, go to my site, AI Profit Scoop, get the notes, give away the notes. This is a strategy that works really good. You'll notice in the thumbnail, I had this little loop, and that is because AI is like a self-serving traffic loop. You're going to use AI to get the traffic, then you're going to use AI to turn that traffic into money and leads via email. This is something that's very simple. A lot of people overlook it. So you got to look at that. No, I just decided to wear a Halloween shirt. This is not a replay. I just like the shirt. I thought it was pretty cool. So going through here, let's take a look at what we have. looking at these different traffic methods here. Organic search. So looking at organic search, this is one that a lot of people look at. It's definitely a great way to get traffic. My favorite way to get traffic with this is using domain names that maybe you buy a domain name at auction or something like that, that already has some kind of presence, and we just build it up. Very simple. This can be done with AI in a very, very simple way. You don't have to overthink it or anything. What you're going to do is you're going to use AI to understand your niche in a very, very specific way. Okay? Using AI to understand. This is the key. We want to go through and understand, hey, what are people looking for? What do they want? How does this work? How can I give them stuff that is going to help? So what we're going to do with AI content creation is we're going to do drafting, or we're going to do posts or pages or whatever, and we're going to use AI. You could use Gemini. The new Gemini is absolutely a game changer in terms of understanding your niche and in terms of getting data. If I was to go out there and say, well, I want to go into the market where people are doing, card tricks, I could say, tell me 100 different card trick names for magicians. And it'll go through and it'll find the different names, like, the Svengali deck, the double lift, and all these other things. That's really cool. So now we're going through and we're looking at this, and it's like, okay, we're going to find all these things, like the traveling card, card to market, card under watch. And what's going to happen is these are all going to lead to a list that actually gets searches. Okay, super important, because if we can pair these with searches, then we're doing pretty good. Now, sometimes you will have to change the names a little bit because AI will add a little bit to it. But what you would just do is say, now just give me the raw list or whatever it is. But using a big list like this is going to get you some stuff with traffic. And then what we're going to do is we're going to focus on stripping out the stuff that we want that is actually going to work via social media, via other things. And what we want to realize is that social media traffic will go farther than just SEO traffic. Why? Because I might have something like the shadow card or the whatever it is, and that might not get that much traffic on search. However, a video on that, because it's going to people who are interested in magic tricks, it might do better. So there's a little bit different of a strategy there where we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, I'm going to look at search. Okay, and then I'm going to look at push traffic. Okay, push traffic is where you're talking mostly about algorithms. Now, Google does have an algorithm on search, of course, but when we're looking at a push algorithm, we are looking for the algorithm to push our stuff out to other people. And the way we're going to do that is make stuff that our audience would be interested in a very specific way. Right? Make things that they are going to want. What will these people want? You want to think of your market not as a bunch of keywords, but as people who want something. If there's people out there and they're looking at gardening stuff and you have a really cool gardening tool that other people don't know about, so they're not searching for it, that doesn't mean that's not good content to make, because we're making it for the people, not the algorithm. Okay, this is very important. A lot of people try to do algorithm stuff and it's like, nope, it's about the people. And with AI, it's going to be more and more about the people the more we go through. Now, looking at this, using Gemini, I think is super fast. It's very smart. It gets you lists very quickly and it refines them for you. Right? So now we could see, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff that's getting a lot of searches, and we could go through and we can use that. Now, going through and also looking at this and saying, okay, well, how can I think about this in terms of SEO? Okay, well, I could go through and I could say, well, let's make something about the, let's say, I don't know, let's pick one of these. I'm trying to pick one that I remember back when I used to be a magician. So we'll do something like, let's see, something like this, okay? You could say, tell me about this, okay? Very important. So now we're going through and we're like, okay, tell me about this thing. What is it? Now you're going to notice that Gemini 2.5 is going to start to break this down and tell you how it thinks. Now,
a lot of people look at AI and they're like, wow, great, it spits out an article. Okay, that's fine, that's good, whatever, wonderful. What they don't look at is how and why it thinks about that article, because there's a lot of things in there that help you understand your market and understand the actual article. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you're going through, let's say you wanted to go into the magician niche, but you're not a magician, okay? So you already have, you're already starting not as good as you could be, because other magicians are going to be better. However, if you understand your market better, you're going to win even though you're not a magician. So starting to understand, okay, well, why does it write the way it writes? Why does it think about this the way it does? So it's going through and it's getting all this information and everything like that. And what I would do is I would actually read it and I'd try to understand it. And I'd say, what are some struggles with this method or trick? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to think about, if someone was looking for this, what would be the perfect piece of content for them? Whether it's AI written or not, what would be perfect? I want to do this trick. Therefore, I'm going to need some images or perhaps a video. I'm going to need, like, here's what not to do, here's what to do, and different things like that. So now we're seeing it's going through the handling, the performance, the cards themselves, different things like this. We are seeing, yes, this is now getting a really, really, really good understanding of the market. Now I can go through and say, now make a cheat guide on how to do this trick. Okay? Now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to set up for the next thing. This is like a game of chess where you say, okay, I'm not playing this move, I'm playing 3 moves from now. And so we're going to go through and say, okay, well, can I use this checklist or cheat sheet for something specific? Can I turn that into a video? Can I turn this into an article? Can I turn this into a downloadable PDF or something like that? And starting to understand, okay, now we have all this, and we're like, okay, what do we have? It uses a special deck. It has the arrangement, and then it's going through and it's like, okay, how to actually learn it. So now we're seeing this is doing this in a really, really cool way. Now, another thing you can do is use these tools together, right? So if I went through and I got the list of all the tricks like this, okay, what I can do is I can use the tools together. So I'll get my list here, okay? And then I would go over to something like Notebook LM. This is where this is going to come in handy. And using these tools together is how you're going to get dynamite content that will work. All right, so now we're going to go through and we'll upload a search, copied text. I'm just going to copy this list here and see what the AI thinks about it. Just go with nothing and say, okay, well, let's see what it thinks about it. Let's see how it organizes it and what it actually wants. Now, I can go through, I could do a deep dive conversation, I can talk to the conversation, I can do all kinds of things with this content that's going to make it work very, very specifically. Also, I can go through and I could do a study guide, briefing doc, FAQ, so if I want to do an FAQ, or a mind map, this will generate a mind map. What this is going to do is help you understand why and how AI is thinking about this, because it thinks more algorithmically than it does humanly. Okay, very important. Now we do see, which we will test with Deepseek AI, the new version, version 3, we do see that that has a very good understanding of human nature and emotions and things like that, which is really cool. But for this, I want to get a lay of the land. What you want to do is spend 75 to 90% of your time understanding. Okay, a lot of people don't do this. They're like, oh, I just want to create content. All right, well, that's going to be spam. What we want to do is we want to understand the content, understand the niche, and start building from that. So going through and looking at this, if I was going to do an SEO article, I want to use a tool like maybe Deepseek to understand the market. Say, okay, how do, let's go in there. How do you perform? Am I in the right model? I think I am. A double lift in card tricks magic, right? We can go through and we can see what it's going to do. Now, I need to log in. I think I have my login on here. Let me just double check here. Go here. Let's see. It doesn't have it saved, but we'll go through and we'll show you how that works on Deepseek's regular site. We'll just go to the regular one, and we'll show you the difference. The differences I found is programming capabilities on the new Deepseek far outpace the other stuff, right? So going through and programming is game-changing. Now, as far as regular Deepseek, you're going to see that it is very good for understanding. So like, how would I perform a double lift magic trick? Cards. Okay, what I want to do is I want to understand this, start to understand it. Now, we can use this, and again, think about the next step. So if I wanted to go SEO, what do I want to do? Well, I want to have a good title. Okay, I want to go through and say, okay, well, what title would I want? Okay, well, how would I fit this title to my stuff? Your title is your first foot forward. That's the first thing they're going to look at, okay? First thing search engine's going to look at. Now, going through with this, you can see Deepseek is going to understand it, okay? How do I create the break? Okay, so it's a break in the card. So let's see if it understands it. Being a magician, having done this, I can tell you if it gets it or not. And it looks like it is. It says, I need to practice, let me try. So it's actually like visualizing what it would be like, which is pretty interesting. Okay, now let's see how this actually spits out the content for us. I mean, you look at this understanding, it's amazing. Same thing with Gemini. You're getting an amazing understanding of what's going on. So let's see how this looks. So step by step, set up the cards, get this, create a break. Okay, so it's giving me the overview of how this would work, which is looking pretty darn good. Now I'm going through and I'm like, okay, now I'm having some content. Now it's looking pretty good. All I need to do is say, okay, how would a perfect piece of content? And we could actually ask it, what would a perfect piece of content be for someone wanting to do this trick or sleight? Okay, it's going to go through and it'll understand what it would be like. It'll say, okay, well, maybe you need a title, maybe you need some images or whatever it is, or a step-by-step guide, it says. Common mistakes, practice drills and routines and things like that. So now we're getting this in a very specific way. Now, what is a double lift? Prerequisites. This is pretty good content. Adding this with some images and things like that would be really, really cool. So now going through and saying, okay, now we're getting an idea of how this works. Structuring that as SEO. A lot of people overlook SEO. It's really about having a good piece of content based on what that content is about. If you have the perfect article on performing a double lift, you'll probably win. Now, if I was to go out there, one of the tips with SEO that a lot of people don't look at is the fact that you could just go to Google and you could do double lift cards and you could see what they want. All right, so now we have videos. So videos are big there. We also have Reddit, Wikipedia, and different forums and things like that. Instructables also shows up, which is interesting because this is a site about instructions, not magic tricks. So there's a site that is more geared towards instructions rather than magic tricks, and it's doing good. Why? Because it's instructions. This is the nature. The biggest thing when looking at making traffic online or generating traffic online is intent. The intent is everything. If someone is searching, what is the intent behind that? Do they want to learn? Do they want to get a link? Is it navigational, informational, visual? What is it that they're looking for, and how can we get that going? Okay? Let's go through, let's look at some more things here. Repurposing transcripts and articles. Can I repurpose other things? Can I look at other stuff out there and make my own good stuff? Again, remembering that human oversight is non-negotiable. Fact check. Add your unique value. Ensure your brand voice. Check originality. Don't just paste from AI and expect it to rank. Now, you can do this, but I find that walking it through, again, this is why I'm spending so much time on understanding, because you need to understand your market. You need to understand what it is they want, what it is they're doing, and how you can help them, okay? Very important. Next up, on-page SEO, this is where you have your title, your meta description, different things like that. So I could go through and I can have it structure this and say, now structure this as a tutorial for SEO ranking double lift card trick, or whatever the term we're going after is, okay? Now it'll go through and it'll actually structure it, which is good. Again, on page, off page, different stuff like that. It's not gonna matter if your content's bad. People go to your content, don't read it. Search engines are gonna be like, well, nobody's staying on the site. It must not be that good. Headings, optimize your headings as much as you can. Again, this is for people. Like when you go through and you look at subheads and headlines and different things like that, you're gonna see, okay, well, this is how I read. Like think about when I go and get an article, what would it look like? Do I want just the same text all the way down with terrible WordPress formatting, with just, I can't figure out where I'm getting? No, you want it organized in a very, very specific way. The same article, non-formatted, can do really good versus can do bad versus formatted will do really good. Going through, generating your sitemaps and things like that, of course, those are always good. Alt text, metadata, this is all, it's not gonna replace having a good article, and a lot of people think it will, okay? So looking at SEO is good. Now there's some things you can do for off-page tactics, like getting the right domain, taking over a site, buying an auction or expired domain. Obviously, use them in a good way. Like you don't want to spam, you don't want to do junk, but if there's a domain you like in your niche that ranked really well, that you're going to build up as a site, well then that can work. Obviously, I wouldn't go and get a restaurant site and repurpose it for magic tricks. Unless I love that domain, that's not really gonna make sense for me, okay? Also, looking at, where'd we go? Looking at the domains, auction and expired, usually I will get mine at Spamzilla or maybe using something like GoDaddy Auctions or whatever it is, and I will get them in a very cool way. All right, next up we have potential risks with domains. Obviously, you have to look at and weigh them, make sure they weren't junk, make sure they're good. Check your backlinks, your history. We talk about that here on the channel as well. Do your due diligence, basically. Another thing you can do is you can do press releases. This is a fantastic way to get traffic to your website. Going through and doing a press release, obviously on something that would be press-worthy. It's got to be a newsworthy thing, which is why in the beginning of this talk, we went through and we said, find interesting facts. Find interesting facts in your market. I went through, I used Gemini to find interesting facts. So one of the things I did is I said, please find interesting facts about finances since January. Okay, and this went through and it found the facts. Now using this, okay, you can see why it thought what it thought, and then we can get our big list down here. Okay, so you can go through and say, okay, one of the things is the origin of the dollar sign, or the highest price stock, or the power of compound interest, rule of 72, first credit card in 1950, loss aversion. All of this stuff is things that people that are interested in finance would peek up about. Right? They're going to go through and be like, hey, I'm actually interested in that, therefore I will look at it. Therefore, it will be good content for me. And looking at this and understanding these facts is what's going to help you. Because again, we are doing a multi-pronged approach, right? We're like a spider over there, and we're like, okay, how can I take this content and use it for SEO? How can I take this content and use it for Pinterest? How can I take it and use it for a video or whatever it is? And we're starting to go through and look at this and understand, okay, our market works in a different way. Our market's going to work in a different way. We're going to go through and we are going to get all of the stuff for our market, because if I go out there and I do Facebook or Pinterest, I want to make sure this is attracting people to me. We're going to use AI Again, these are like little headlines here. So you could say, okay, Bitcoin is on a bullish trend, or the stock market resilience, or rising consumer inflation expectations. These are things that are somewhat newsworthy that we can use to get traffic to whatever it is we're doing, right? Let's say you're getting them into a new credit card or something like that. Maybe with inflation, you could say, oh, well, hey, this credit card is 5% less than other credit cards, or it gives you 5% cash back. Okay, inflation's only 4%, so you can beat inflation by having this card. Starting to think in a different way of how we can do that and be newsworthy, be honest, be upfront. Looking at this, because a lot of times with press releases, you will get earned media links, and you can get traffic extremely fast. Now, with AI, this is where it starts to get much better, because I can go through, and back in the day when I would do press releases, I would have to write them, which was a pain, right? It was like, okay, what am I going to do here? Now I can go through and say, can you write a short press release about rising consumer inflation and how they can use rewards, credit cards to soften the expense, or whatever it is, right? And they can go through and it'll look at it, and it'll start to understand in a specific way how this works. You can also go through and post different things about this. We see this on Facebook all the time, where people are posting a simple image with a background, and it has text, and it'll say, oh, 5 ways to use Chatgpt to get traffic, or 5 ways to use Google to get this, or whatever it is, right? Very simple stuff that people are interested in. And what it's doing is it's skimming the people that are interested in that stuff, getting them to read. Then when they engage, you get them on your mailing list, everything like that. Very simple. All right, so this is basically how you're going to do organic, okay? Again, having the right content, doing the right keyword research, thinking about your market in a different way. I was watching the Ahrefs video that came out this morning. Good video. He was talking about how HubSpot, I think that was the one, HubSpot, where they went through and had a different strategy. It was a lot like the video I did on Colgate or Crest, one of the toothpaste guys, where we went through and we looked at it, and it's like, hey, most of this traffic isn't necessarily about toothpaste. However, they're using it to promote their stuff, which is dental hygiene, and you basically get all the people from there, which is very simple. All right, next up we have paid traffic, which is pay-per-click and social ads. What we want to do is use platform AI. We're going to go through, we can use Google, Meta, built-in bidding. So you're going to go through, the platform will have the AI that will help you find the people you want. Now, a lot of people think if I had a lot of traffic, I'd make a lot of money. That is a common misconception. There are tons of people on TikTok that get millions of views, they don't make anything. Tons of people on Instagram, they get tons of views, they don't make anything. So what we need to do with free or paid traffic, so it doesn't matter if you're going for free SEO or paid traffic, okay? What we need to do, paid, that says paid, right? What we need to do is we need to go through and we need to say, okay, how do I get the right traffic? How do I get the right people who have the means to get what I have and will also get value from it? How do I go out there and use that in a specific way? Because not all traffic is created equal. Having the right traffic can make you a lot more than just having a bunch of traffic. This is super, super important. Now, going through and looking at this, we're going to say, okay, well, how would I use something like Notebook to do this? Well, I could go through and I can start to understand the different parts of my niche, right? So here, I can see what people want. This is what's known as, I think marketers call it, I believe they call it like the click funnel or something like that, or the interest funnel or something. And what you're doing is you're looking at a funnel of interest. Right? There's people up here that are like, magic. Okay, that's pretty vague. Then there's people here that are looking for card tricks. Okay, well, that's more specific to what they would actually want. Then you have people down here that are actually looking up the names of the slights. Boom, there we go. That person, I know this person's a magician. This could be someone looking for, something fun to do at a party or whatever. This one down here is going to be a much more specific group of people. So when doing paid traffic, can I go through and use this? How can I find other keywords? Again, looking at these types of things here, could I bid on something like the word inflation, get a bunch of traffic, and convert that? I could. Could I do how inflation affects this, or middle class, or whatever it is? Again, that's informational, so it's not going to convert as good as like, how do I get out of inflation, or whatever, okay? Very, very important. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use AI to understand that market, right? So I could go through, let's say I wanted to use Deepseek, which is actually really good for this. I could say, what is the intent and feelings behind someone looking up economic inflation? Or you could just put the word inflation in there. Either way, we're going to go through and we're going to make this work and understand. So what we want to do is we want to understand. Deepseek is key at understanding. Again, if you wanted to use the new Deepseek, you can go over to the site we mentioned earlier, which I think if you just Google Deepseek 3, you'll find it. It's on the top there. So now looking at this, you'll understand, okay, what is it they want? And understanding what they want is key, whether you're doing paid traffic or free traffic. This is what's going to help you understand the market. And the person who understands the visitor is the one who is going to win. So now I can see intent, personal or financial, to assess how rising prices impact savings, budgeting, or debt management. They have worries about groceries and housing and healthcare, planning for retirement or fixed income. Understanding this, just reading this, is going to help you know more about that market and understand where to go with this, right? So I could go through and I could say, okay, well, let's take this right here, and I can put this into Notebook LM. Okay, we'll do a new one here, right, like this, and we'll do copied text. And what this will do is it'll give me a little overview of what these people's worries are. And understanding and seeing your market visually is big, okay? Super, super big. So going through, let's take a look at what else we have here. Okay. So now we'll go through and we'll say, okay, let's do a mind map. And then I'm going to open a Chatgpt over here. Since we're doing images, I'm just going to do it over here so that make sure it's a good one here. All right, so we're going to go through. We'll look at the mind map here. Okay. Economic, so there's the intents, the feelings, the nuances, and the underlying motivations. And this will go through and it'll help you understand in a very specific way what your market's into, okay? So I could go like this, see exactly, oh, that's good. So it talks about historical cases. I wouldn't have thought that way. Are you guys seeing how this is starting to make you think differently, which is, okay, now I can think like a marketer without being a marketer because now I can understand things. AI is helping me with this. Now, one of the little tips with the Notebook LM, I think this is called the mind map here, is you can actually open all these up. So we're going to open everything on the tree. Make sure that all of this is opened. And it looks like we're right about there. Okay, good, good, good. Nothing closed. Good. Then, once they're all open, you can actually download it. I found that you do have to download it after they're opened. Otherwise, it'll just give you the small snippet. And then I can actually take this and put this into Chatgpt and say, make a cool, interesting Facebook style image text post about this stuff. And let's see what it comes up with. I'm just going to do this off screen so that make sure it's good. But what I did is I literally just gave it that and gave it the instructions. So let's see what it comes up with. It looks like it's pretty good so far. So now we have, when prices rise, so do our questions. Why does it happen? What can we learn? Do central banks do? Do families survive it? How does this work? And it's just literally going on and like, okay, this is pretty cool. There we go. Okay, so now let's say, yes, please make an interesting fact image, text, and black background with a view comment to see more, or whatever it is, right? So the idea is I'm going to post this up. It's going to say, okay, view the comment to get more. This is something a lot of people overlook because it's so easy, but you could literally go out there on Facebook and share things. I know a guy, I don't know him personally, but I've seen his stuff, and he's getting millions and millions of views just posting little things like I'm about to show you, that now with Chatgpt and the ability to do perfect text on image, this is something that's a game changer in the world of getting traffic, because now you can use these as slideshows, you can use them as Pinterest pins, you can use them as Facebook, you can use them as thumbnails for your videos. There's all kinds of different things that you can do that literally changes the game completely. So looking at that and understanding it is key. That's where we're getting into social media, okay? With paid traffic, the key to paid traffic is two things: the right keyword and the right offer. If you miss this, you're going to lose money. If you have the right offer and the right keyword, you will win. This is about understanding. That's why we're going to use AI to understand, okay, what is the likelihood of someone looking this up being interested in this thing, okay? Very, very important. We could see ChatGPT 4 is going to work. It's getting there, looking pretty good, okay? Awesome stuff. Now, we're going through also looking at Google AI Studio. This is one that is a big one. Now, looking at Google AI Studio, what we're going to do is we are going to use, I believe it was the new version, the 2.5. So the 2.5 here, we can see how it works. And with 2.5, we are seeing that it's understanding things more, it's doing images better, it's coding better, and we can go through and pretty much make whatever we want. For code execution and search and things like that, you can use this. So what we can do is I can say, okay, and also, it also allows you to upload files, images, audio, photos, videos. That's pretty cool. I can understand a video, different things like that. So I could go through and I could say, tell me 100 interesting facts about the economy today, or last 90 days. And it'll go through and it'll find that stuff for us. Now, I'm seeing here that ChatGPT went a little too liberal, but it does say view comments to say more. So like, this is something we could legit start with right now. Now I could say something like, okay, now pick one of the lines and focus on that as the image. And what will happen is now we can use these facts and generate these really, really, really quickly. And the key is making them different and having a different understanding where people are going to think differently. This is super, super important. So now going through here, let's run this one. Tell me interesting facts about the economy today or last 90 days. So now, let's see here. And this one takes a little bit, which is good because I'm thirsty. So now going through, it's saying the global and macro, inflation, CPI. This is all really good stuff. And you look at people who get huge audiences online are people that are using this stuff. Instead of saying, hey, I have another video about the economy for you, they're talking about stuff that is relevant. They're talking about stuff that's right now. Looking at this, going through, we're talking about Google Gemini 2.5. We're talking about Deepseek 3. We're talking about the new updates to ChatGPT 4, and we're starting to understand, okay, these are things that are now important. You can piggyback on a trend, get traffic very quickly. Now, the key is in doing this strategically. Can I have an SEO? Can I have a Pinterest? Can I have an Instagram, Facebook, or video? All of this is going to push my agenda, which is get people to my site, get them to opt in, get them to want more stuff. If I was going to go out there and say, okay, how about I do the magic trick one? Okay, if I was doing magic, could I make a little card on double lift? Boom, here's a little post. Only magicians will be interested in it. That'll attract a bunch of magicians. If I go through and I make like 100 of these, now I'm going to get traffic. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you do a good job. Using AI is not bad. It's going to help you in a specific way, but we need to understand how it's going to help, why it's going to help, and where it would get into like spam territory, which would be, let me just talk about the about, which is like, oh, here's 5 magic trick hacks, here's 5 you just do the same thing over and over. Yeah, this is going to be spam, there's no value. If I do the value, what's going to happen is the value is being able to say, yeah, you want all 100 of these, go to my website to get them. And then you just give them all 100 of them. Very, very simple, very easy. Now, looking at this, there you go. What's driving up rent prices? Can you add answer in comments? Something like that, okay? And it'll go through and it'll have the answer in comments there, right, like that. So there's actually several types of value. A lot of people think that value needs to be like a giant 2-hour training like I'm doing now. It doesn't. Value could be making someone smile, telling them a joke. Could be making them think about something different. Could be a 2-second thing. Very simple. Matt says, I was just reading about this stuff in Dan Kennedy's old book, hooking into the trends and jumping in on those. Exactly. Looking at the trends, looking at how you can do them good, ethically, and helpful. Right? There's tons of info out there to do stuff in a good way. We don't have to do anything weird. We can just go out there and understand our market, talk about what they want, build it up, bada bing, bada bang, we are off to the races, and we just wash, rinse, repeat. Now you can see it's going through. It's got what's driving up rent prices, answer in comments, and you will get engagement. People will be interested, and it will make them think about it. Again, remembering that what people think is the difference between no money and money. How? How is this worth money if they say, oh, how, now I'm interested in inflation? Because now if they're interested in inflation, I can go through and say, oh, now you would want this. But if they're just searching on Facebook or YouTube or Google or whatever, and you don't know much about them, then there's not that much money. The more you know about your audience, the more money you're going to make. That's why there's all these tracking things that are like, oh, hey, this guy clicked on shoes 10 years ago. Let's show him ads about shoes. All right. Now, sometimes it gets into a creepy area where it's like, okay, these companies are tracking a little bit too much. But in our case, what we're doing is we are doing the direct response version. Direct response. If I'm posting things on Facebook about 5 new ways to use Chatgpt, 5 new ways to use Deepseek, 5 new ways to use this, that, or the other, now I'm going through and I'm like, oh, this is totally making sense, right? Totally making sense. Direct response, boom, there we go. And you can do this in a simple, simple way. Maybe you would go through and say, now tell me 5 ways to use Chatgpt to save money or whatever. And it'll show you how to do that. And you could now make one about that. Here's 5 tips to saving money with Chatgpt. And these are actually pretty good, like how to negotiate your bills. A lot of people don't like writing emails because if I write an email and I get rejected, then I get a feeling attached to it. But if I go through and I have Chatgpt write it, now there's no rejection. You're rejecting the AI, not me. So a lot of people like that. Or meal planning, grocery budgeting. So now make a teaser image for Facebook about this. 5 ways to use Chatgpt to save money, or something like that. And it'll go through and it'll make the image. Watch how this works. Very simple. And you need to think about it different. Now, looking at this. Real interest rates positive. In many developed economies, policy interest rates. So now we're seeing all these different facts that we can use, and we can literally just make good content about them because this is stuff that is in their mind anyway. Now check this out. I can take this from Google AI Studio. I can pop it over here into this here, right? So now we have understanding inflation. Let's do a new one just because I want it to be fresh. And what this is going to do, it's going to help you see information differently. And this is basically creating your content plan, right? So now I go through, do a mind map. Now make a content plan around this stuff, this that I can use to get 50 pieces of content that would be interesting on for social media. You got to be careful because sometimes the AI will take it deliberate, where it's like on social media to say, oh, economy, Facebook, economy, whatever. What we're going to do is we're going to do this in a different way. So social media. Right here. If you guys are digging this, smash the like button, let us know. Also, a lot of the notes and everything that I generate in this video, we will have available for you over at AIProfitScoop.com. And I actually changed the page so that the opt-in is right on top now, so you can't miss it. If you want to join, you can scroll down, but the opt-in is on top for you. Very, very simple. Okay? So now we're seeing a simple post here, 5 ways to use Chatgpt to save money, see how. Okay? Add an image or add an arrow saying in comments under see how. Let's see if this does it good. And then what you're going to do. One of the cool things, I will tell you also, ChatGPT used to do these as a web PG file or web something file, some weird file, which I didn't like. And they changed it to where now it downloads as PNG, which I like. We can just zoom, drag and drop them right on there. You're good to go. So now we can see it's doing a little change for it. Let's see how it did. I want to see if it actually understood the text, like below the see how. Does it know the text there? Interesting. So using paid ads, again, the best way to do paid ads for beginners is go to MSN Bing, try it conservatively. Why? MSN gets like 1/10 of the traffic of Google, so utilizing that is going to be a lot more user-friendly, right? On Google, it's like, okay, I could burn through a bunch of money really quick on ads, whereas, you know, on MSN, it'll be a lot slower. And MSN tends to be a different buying crowd. Find it to be a little bit older of a crowd over there. So understanding that, you know, maybe that's probably why you see, you know, the bath fitter ads and different things like that, where it's an older market there. So MSN's big. Again, using it to make your headlines, okay? If I had a piece of content, I could say, let's go to Deepseek and say, okay, now make a headline for this content, or something like that. And it'll make a headline for the content, which would be very, very simple. I think it is, I don't know, it's some weird image file that it's kind of new, but I like the old PNGs and stuff like that, which is cool. Okay, so while we're waiting for this, what it's going to do, and this is why Deepseek is important for this, because we're going to go through and we're going to be like, okay, understanding intent, now it's going to understand them, and now it's going to write the ad for them. Why people research inflation, from anxiety, curiosity, uncovering motivations. Okay, how about for the person searching? Let's see. Okay, so now we're going to get an ad. What are you searching about inflation? Unpacking the hidden fears, hopes, and strategies driving you. Okay, how about for someone just searching inflation? I want an article that is good for them and is also clickable. Let's see. So now we'll go through like this. So say it's saying, make you or you going to engage the reader. That's copywriting 101, secret, truth, how might work. These are looking pretty good. And again, we can use these in our other stuff as well. Now, while we're waiting on that, it nailed it. 5 ways to use ChatGPT to save money. Can you add some money stacks at the bottom? And then it'll go through and it'll add the money stacks at the bottom, which would be really cool. Now, while we're waiting on that, let's take a look at how it did with our paid ad. Paid ads are all about getting the click, okay? If 1,000 people search, how many click your ad? Okay, that's the first part. Now, I could get everyone to click by saying something, you know, sensationalized, but that's not exactly going to convert for me. So I have to have a balance between convert and click. I want to get enough people to click to where I'm going to rise in the rankings, but I also don't want it to just be everyone, because that's not going to make me money. So now we can see inflation anxiety, what your Google search reveals. That's interesting. Stop panic Googling inflation. So it's interesting, right? So you could see here some interesting things there. Now, not so much on their search, but info they would want. Perfect article title to beat inflation or whatever. And it'll probably come up with like 5 ways to beat inflation or whatever it is, okay? So now we're seeing here, yeah, see it says beat, protect, outsmart. So now we have outsmart inflation 2024. Just change it to 2025, very simple. 10 proven strategies to protect your savings. I would mix this a little bit. Let's say mix that up 7 variations. And it's going to go through and do this. And let's see here. Okay, so now we have that there. Inflation proof for your life, 7 expert, that's good. Just change it to 2025. The new version 3, very similar, but it will have up-to-date searches. You could probably turn on search and get it here. Pretty simple. Crush inflation now, inflation survival, that's good. I like that, inflation survival kit. So what that tells me is, okay, now I can do this. So notice how we just went with the word inflation. Now we're over here and we're like, okay, this is cool. I like this. Let's roll with this. Inflation survival kit, smart moves for groceries, gas, and your future. Cool. Now make the full web page with the tips, engaging, interesting. Let's see how it does there. So it'll go through and it'll make the full web page for you, which is really cool. And we can see again over here, Chatgpt 4, it got the money, making the thing. Really cool. So now we go through and we could say, okay, what else could I do? All right, so now we have inflation. Okay, so I have this here. So inflation proof, I think we use this one. Okay, inflation survival kit. So I would go through and say, now make one for inflation survival kit, smart moves, gas, grocery, future. Make it really engaging. Okay, so we'll go like that. It'll create it for us. And again, what we're doing is we're using AI to think ways we wouldn't normally think. Getting the different interesting facts, looking at the market in a more linear way rather than just vertical keyword, keyword, keyword. Understanding, okay, what is it that drives this market? What is it that they think about? If they're thinking about airline prices, how can I, 5 websites you need to know to save money. That kind of content works really good, and you can get tons and tons of free traffic using that content. Again, thinking like, okay, what do people not normally do? We are in this business. We do web marketing. We use AI. We know this stuff exists. The vast majority of people don't, right? So now we have grocery portion. We got stop letting gas prices, your future. Okay, cool. So now this goes into savings. So now I have this. Now make it an HTML, nice formatted page. Now, again, this is where, see this, downloadable, it's telling you everything you need, right? It's literally like, here you go. Now, what I found is Deepseek, even 3, is good at making pages, but it lacks a little bit of what I found in AI Studio. With AI Studio, I can say, turn this into an engaging web page with nice design. And a lot of people will get hung up on the design, but if you look at the high converting pages, they don't have much of a design. They're actually very simple. They're a lot like my notes here, where it's like, oh, hey, it's just the notes, okay? Now what we're looking at is social media traffic for AI content, AI for content engagement, right? How do we get this going? And then we're looking at this in terms of where am I going to drive them. Okay, so let's see how this does. And then, of course, visualizing it. Let's go over to Notebook LM. Let's get a visual. And I can even put the audio from Notebook LM on my page. Right? Go listen to the audio podcast of whatever. A lot of people think that you need to have some dynamite podcast over there on Spotify that's going nuts. You don't. I actually posted, what I did is I gave Notebook LM my sales page. I went through, I made the sales page, and gave it to it, and it made an audio about it. I stuck the audio on the sales page, my conversions went up. Super simple, right? I just copy and pasted it, there you go. Very simple. So now I'm gonna use copied text here, and I can actually add to it with video and stuff like that as well. Now going through, getting the mind map, and check this out. Now I'm generating these right on the get-go. Now, Sora also came out with the same update where words are getting better. You can turn this image into words or whatever it is. Smart moves for gas and groceries. Maybe I could say something like, mention, check comments for the guide, or for the download. For whatever reason, the word download is magical, and people love it. So, like if you go to my site to download this, they love it for whatever reason. Liberty says, wow, this could be a book. Exactly. Matt says, do you feel like something like this would rank well on the right domain, or is this better for hooking people on social media? So if I was going to do this on the right domain, or try to go for SEO, I would try to pair that with what I want. So here's what it looks like. I'm out there. Like I said, I'm like the spider. I'm up here, and I'm like, hey, check this out. I'm going to figure out what I want. We're using the spider because it's got 8 hands, legs, whatever. I'm not a spider guru. But I'm going out there and I'm like, okay, hey, check this out. I got a good post for Facebook. My inflation guide. Love it. Good. Fantastic. Then I'm going to go through and say, what's this going to look like for SEO? I already made the post. I might as well make the SEO one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go look for a word about inflation. And I'm going to check this out. So we got inflation calculator. What does that tell me? That tells me pronto, I need to go over here and I need to make an inflation calculator. Okay? So this is generating the page. Looks like it's making the page for me. Deepseek, it's got the page. Let's see what it looks like. Inflation survival kit. So that's where our guide would be. Download your guide here. I just put a big download button. Then we have our tips. So it's looking pretty good. I believe we might need to do, I don't know if this will, can you make the actual page? See if it'll actually make the page for me. Okay, and imagine having a bunch of these out there, driving leads back to you. You get the book, the guide, whatever, and you're ready to go. We can see here, inflation survival kit, smart moves for groceries, gas, and your future. Excellent. So now I got this. I could take this and say, now write an SEO article about this, focusing on the keyword. And again, it's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. This is what people think. They're like, I just want content perfect out of the gate. I want to get a bunch of traffic. And there we go. That's not how this works, right? We need to go through it. We need to think differently. We need to make good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, there it goes. So it did make the page. We would have to create the file or download it or whatever. Got a style sheet, but it did actually make the page, which is cool. We could test it out a little bit later. Now, going through here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a keyword that would fit. So obviously the competition is going to be big, okay? We're going to look at where the low competition is. I can go through and I can look for low KD. Okay, so we got CPI inflation rate formula. Okay, that's good. Blueberry inflation, people looking at blueberry inflation apparently. Is that even a thing? Right? Biden inflation, you got Argentina, demand inflation, all kinds of different things like that, okay? So you're seeing here inflation, good, wonderful, great. All right, now we're gonna go through and we're gonna say, okay, how could I turn that into one of these? Okay, well, maybe I can go through, start a new one, and say, tell me about blueberry inflation. And let's see here, make sure that's a good thing, right? Probably has to do with, okay, so I think it has to do with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so we might not want that one. But I would go through and I'd find one that looks really good, maybe Biden or something like that, Inflation Reduction Act, something that I can use. Now, some of the more, some of the more competitive ones, I would go press release or paid traffic, okay? But we can go through, think about this differently, okay? Go through, say, okay, well, and we could see, okay, so we got how it affects us, good. Now come up with some titles showing how it affects us, but specific and clickable, interesting titles, okay? Now we'll go like this. IRA impact, good, good, good. I'm thinking, okay, I could link that to, oh, that's IRA for that. I could link it to IRA like a savings account, okay? We have create titles, so now it's thinking, still thinking. Truth about inflation, pocketbook wallet. Okay, so now we got some. IRA and your health bills, what's actually cheaper? Okay, so I would change that to inflation, okay? Let's actually use the words, not letters, okay? Are the pages made by these AI sites going to work for WordPress? If you want them to, all you're gonna do is say, now code it to copy and paste in WordPress. And it'll actually do that for you. Very simple, okay? So going through, thinking about it differently, saying, how can I get this stuff? How can I make it work? This actually went through. It got 50 different, there's our content plan. GDP growth for I just changed it to 2025. Post, the global economy is a mixed bag. Geopolitical risks remain a huge factor in global economic. These are pretty good. So we're going through, we're looking at good stuff. You can even go through and do this and see it at a glance. What this is going to do is it's going to give you what we call content buckets. Content buckets are different types of content you're going to use for different things. You might have a content bucket for news, inflation. You might have a content bucket for save or credit cards, or you might have one for loans. And what you're going to do is you're going to fit these to each one. So you're like, okay, inflation and interest rates. Inflation, let's do interest rates. So we got whatever this is, subtle policy shift, cuts rates. This is really, really good stuff. Rate steady. Okay, so could I do a piece of content about rates are 5.5%? Whatever. Okay, can I make this very, very, very specific? Okay, going through, there we go. Okay, content strategy. That's what this is about. Using AI to get the content strategy, using AI to make the content. Now, where are we going to take them? Well, you're going to go through. You're going to be like, okay, I got a Facebook post, I got a video, I got an Instagram, maybe I got a post on Twitter, or whatever they call Twitter now. Or maybe you got one on some other social media, TikTok, or whatever, okay? All of this stuff is going to be getting you traffic, and you are going to take that traffic to either a sales page or an email opt-in. If you do an email opt-in, this is where it really starts to cycle. That's where we went through in our thumbnail here. We're like, okay, how do we scale this up to 1 million visitors? How am I going to get 1 million visitors? Because if I got 1 million visitors in a topic, I could make money. And using these tools in conjunction is where that's going to go. And then saying, okay, can I build a mailing list? What is a mailing list going to do? It's going to get you that traffic again and again and again. because now let's say this week you put 100 new people on your email list. What are you going to email them? You're going to email them the other content that they didn't get, right? You're going to keep on top of it. What your job is to be a publisher of good info. Could be something simple. Could be like how to fix your wall, right? And you talk about home improvement. Could be recipes. Could be workout. Could be finance. Could be credit cards. Could be literally anything. You are going to publish that, and then all you do, make a post on your blog, email that post out. That post will go for ranking in SEO, okay? Because you pair it. So like this video here. The video today is 217,000 visitors, Google Gemini, Deepseek. Now, the post that I'm making for this, if I was to go here, let me show you what it looks like, and I'll show you the specific reason I chose that post. Okay, so obviously when the notes are done, Valeria does our notes for us, you're going to see the title I went for was Beyond AI SEO, Getting Massive Traffic with Google AI. Okay, so Google AI is a keyword. Main keyword was AI SEO. Boom, this is what I went for. I can go for subcategory keywords as well, but AI SEO is the main one. How do we do AI SEO? This is how you do it. You pick your title that's going to fit. Okay, maybe I can go through and find a less competitive one. Ranking number 5 for AI for SEO is probably better than ranking number 50 for AI SEO. Okay? Then what I do is I watch where it's at, because a lot of people don't realize Google gives you feedback. You post content. You say, oh man, I'm ranked number 99. That's terrible. I'm sad. I'm not happy. All right, well, what do you rank number 10 for? And how can you repurpose this to rank better for this? Because sometimes you will find a post you put will rank for a word you didn't even intend to go for. Then you repurpose it and you say, okay, well, I went for that word. They think I'm about that word. Let's make the content about that. Very simple. Do I have a video on AI creating email series that sell? I do. There's one in AI Profit Scoop. You can check that out. I don't know if we have one here. Not sure. Okay? But yeah, going through, that's what's going to do it. And thinking about it like, okay, what if my Facebook post, where'd our spider go? He was over here somewhere. There he is, right? What if my Facebook post gets 5 people a day to my mailing list? All right, well, that's $1,500 a month or a year, right? What if my SEO gets 1 person a day? All right, now I'm up to 1865, okay? What if I have a video that I made, a little faceless video? Maybe that gets me 2 people a day. All right, well, there's another 600 and some odd, 700 if you do the math. Now you're starting to look at this and you're like, wow, okay, so if I can generate 1,000 visitors a week, could that put 100 people on my mailing list? I think so. Might even do more, okay? Now, having those 100 people on your mailing list, those will go back to your website. What's going to happen also, the 1,000 people who saw your stuff and didn't opt in, they're going to go see your other stuff. And eventually they're going to be like, well, I better go over there and get the list of all of them, right? Like the guy who wants the video on doing email series, right? If I came out with that, he'd be like, oh, well, I'll opt in for that. I might not for this. And what's happening is far too many people are trying to do, here's my one-size-fits-all answer, okay? And they're trying to drive everyone to this, and it's like, that's not the way to do it. What we want to do is look at each thing individually, because if you look at each thing individually, it's its own deal where it's like, okay, they came in looking for the top selling domain names. I give it to them, then they opt in. That's going to make the rate of opt-in on this like 30 to 50%, where your one-size-fits-all is going to be 10% at best. Okay? This is where you focus. Everything you do needs to fit. If I have a Facebook post and I have it like this, and I'm like, okay, here's our post, wherever it went. Okay? So we have this here, inflation survival kit, smart moves for groceries, gas. Now I can say, now come up with 100 items that are affected most by inflation. Okay? Now I can get those items that are affected most by inflation, make posts on those. Say, oh, hey, you know what? These are the grocery ones. Again, the buckets. Grocery buckets, go to grocery landing page. Credit card buckets, credit card landing page. And sometimes you might even have your own list. Like, I teach how to make money online with AI, but a lot of people are like, hey, I just want to use your domain stuff. I have a list for domains. A lot of people say, hey, I want your AI stuff. I have a list for that. A lot of people say, well, I want this, that, or the other. Different list for different people. Higher conversion, more targeted, takes a little bit of time, but we're using AI, which makes it so much easier. And starting to look at this and saying, okay, could I use this to get to 200,000 visitors or more? Yeah, you can. If you wanted to do this, it's all a math game, right? If I had 217,000 visitors each year, okay, I think currently I get a little bit more than that each month or something like that. All right, 217 each year. Let's set the bar low. That would be, what would that equal? 217 over 365. Let's do a little math here. So 217 over 365, that is roughly 594 visitors a day. The question is, of all the traffic on the internet, do you think you can get 600 to go to your website today if you really tried? I think you probably could. That's not that difficult. I mean, let's say you rank for 5 terms that get 10,000 searches a month or whatever, right? That's starting to chip away at the number, and you start to understand this is a numbers game. Then you start to say, okay, well, with this, that, and the other. And what's going to happen is each of these is going to drive your bottom line. I know there's a lot of people talking about vending machines and making money with vending machines. It's okay. I think it's kind of costs a lot to get started, takes a lot of work, not my favorite cup of tea. But what they're doing is they're like, hey, I have 50 vending machines. Each of them makes me $1 a day. Ergo, I'm making this much. Okay, or each makes $5 a day or whatever. That's what your content's going to be like. Now, keep in mind, social media content, Facebook, stuff like that, most of it's going to be short-lived. You'll have like a week, it'll spike, then it dies out. What's the goal? To get people to your mailing list. If you go through and you have other stuff out there, we're like, okay, maybe I'm going to do YouTube. Sometimes YouTube can live a little bit longer if it's, you know, keyword loaded or something like that. If you're doing SEO, that's probably the longest one, right? If you have a good solid ranking, it'll probably last a while and make money. If you're doing paid traffic, it lasts as long as you got the money. That's how long it lasts. It's very simple. Starting to look at this and understand my goal is to think about my market different using AI, use that AI to create things that will get traffic. Can I make a guide that would work? Cool. Now make a guide or checklist about these and how to use, let's say how to use rewards, credit cards to beat inflation. Okay? Then you could go through and be like, okay, well, what are the top inflation things? Now I can say, now break this into 33, do 3 each, different posts I can use on social media. Look at that. It actually made the table showing the best cards for each one. That's pretty cool. Match cards to spending categories. There it goes. It's doing all the stuff for me. So I could go through and say, now make an image for this and how much it's affecting, like grocery inflation up 99% or whatever. Then check comments for how to beat inflation. So notice how like all of the content is like, go get the guide, go get the guide, go get the guide. And now going through this, let's see, I made a guide similar to what you're talking about, put it up and it sold 2 hours later. Awesome. Stuff does work if you do it. There's a lot of people doing it, and it makes it very, very simple. So now we can do this for Facebook, please. And it'll go through and it'll make it. So we're going to give it the grocery one. Let's see what it comes up with. Again, we don't want to just post what it comes up with. We want to make sure that it actually looks good. Starting to understand this in a different way is key. Looking at email traffic, again, what you're going to do is just think about how can I turn these into emails. Everything you do is setting up for the next thing. So let's say I start with a Facebook image. Okay, cool. Can I turn that into a blog post? Okay, cool, good, good, good. Can I turn that into an email? Cool. Can I turn it into a guide? Can I make an email for the guide? Very simple, like boom, boom, boom. It's like a big cycle. You just keep going and going and going, and the snowball rolls down the hill and gets big as it goes through. So starting to look at this and understand differently is key. Now, going through and looking at the other stuff, again, having the right headline, getting the attention. Attention is key. We are in the attention economy. And if you understand this, everything changes. This is what Gary Vee preaches all the time, where it's like, hey, put some good stuff out there. Focus on something that in and of itself, someone's going to like. Like, oh, hey, you know what? Post your grocery bill. Like, here it is, $500 yesterday. Insane. How much was yours? Get them to comment. Okay, so you might go out there and you're going to have different types of content. One will be for goodwill and interest. Okay? Start out. If you're new and you're like, oh, hey, check out my book, people probably won't care. But if you say, here's my grocery bill, it was $580, okay? How much was yours? Post as a comment. Engagement. Engagement. What does that tell Facebook? People engage with your content. What are they going to do next time you post the content? They're going to show it to all those people. Then it's going to get more people, and it's going to get more people, and it's going to get more, and it's going to build and build and grow. The problem is, people are out there and they're like, oh, I just want to post a thing, get them to affiliate link and make money. You can do that. And if you do that, you're probably not going to get much traffic and you're probably going to make no money. So if you're going to do that, if you're like, I just want a one-page thing, you should probably go and buy traffic, okay? If you're going to do this, it's like Gary says in his book, Gary Vee says, you know, jab, jab, right hook. We're like, okay, what's a jab? Interesting content. Oh, I like that. Another jab, interesting content, engaging content, get them to think. And then guess what? A lot of people don't realize this, but the comments tell you about your market. It's going to tell you what they want. They'll be like, oh, my groceries were $900. I went to Costco. I think looking at Costco is $900. You just drive by it and you just get charged. That was a joke. Calm down. But going through and looking at that and understanding, the comments are going to tell me about my market. They're going to tell you what their struggles are, and then you make their stuff. I will never forget years ago, people would order my course when I first came out with it, and they're like, it's like you read my mind. It's like you knew, and you were talking to me directly. How did you do that? I'm like, well, you told me. You told me what you were struggling with. You told me what you wanted. You told me what you needed. The comments tell everything. Years ago, I think it was Andy Jenkins, good guy. He came out with a video where he was like, hey, check this out. What you do is you do a product launch. Okay, this is how it worked. And a product launch is the same as getting traffic. It's all one and the same. Okay, you're just either doing it really long or you're doing it in a short time. Product launch is short, couple of weeks, boom, done. Getting traffic is like the long form. You can combine them. All right, when you do a launch, what you do is you're like, hey, let's make a good, helpful video or piece of content. Let's drive a bunch of people to it. They're like, hey, this is cool. Then what you do is you put comments on it. And they comment, and they're like, hey, you know what? What about this? What about that? What about this? And you actually read them. Now, you don't even have to read them. Just throw them in AI. It'll say, oh, here you go. Imagine if you went through and threw comments into something like this. You're like, hey, what do my people struggle with? Bloop. It'll tell you exactly. And it'll mind map it and be like, 90% of people can't get traffic to their website. Oh, well, here you go. Right? Very, very simple. And you start to understand it. And then your next piece of content can address what they want. Now, be careful, because human nature is to go out there and be like, oh, well, who's the loudest, angriest comment? Let me respond to them. That's human nature, but that's not always the best. The person who's the loudest, angriest, usually isn't the person who's going to buy your stuff. As Gary Halbert used to say, sell the foxes, weed the dogs. Sell to the people who want your stuff, weed out people who don't. It's like trying to convince people to buy stuff is not marketing. I don't know what that is, but it's not marketing. What we want to do is we want them to convince themselves based on data. We want to help them make a decision. A lot of people think sales is bad or pushy. That's because there's pushy, bad salesmen. Right? We've all been to the car lot, and they're like, if you don't buy this car right now, terrible, right? I remember that years ago when I bought my first car. They sold me a car with 3,000 miles on it as if it was new. I didn't know better, and that's why I will not pay full price for cars. I always try to get a discount on it. And they sold me it, and it made me mad because I'm like, that's not sales. They didn't help me. What if they actually tried to help me and left me with a good vibe? I would go back and buy cars. I'd probably still be buying cars with them today, but they were like, no, I want my $1,000 right now, so I'm going to sell it and make this guy feel bad or whatever. That's not what sales is. Sales is about helping. Content is about helping. How can you be helpful? How can you give good stuff? Starting to understand this is key. Referral and direct traffic, where you can go through and you can mention a site. Oh, hey, go over to AI Profit Scoop to get the notes. That would be direct traffic, referral traffic. Now, going through with the advanced strategy, we can go in and we can actually build tools for our niche. Notice there was an inflation calculator in there. We can use these tools. So like a lot of people looked up inflation calculator, right, like this. And with inflation calculator, 366,000 visitors a month. Now, can I rank for this with an AI-generated inflation calculator? With the right domain, maybe, probably not. With a new domain and just a good calculator, no, you're not going to rank. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make the calculator, which is my value, and then I'm going to use other things to drive it. Maybe I could go through and say grocery inflation up 83%. Now have a part on the bottom saying, how much more are you spending? Try the calculator in the comments. This will get them to that calculator. So now I have that value, which is the calculator. I'm going to get them to it using these images. I can use a video showing how. Oh, hey, here's the bananas, here's the eggs, here's the gas, here's the that. Going through, building it up, looking at different things. What are the different things I can put into the calculator to show people, right? That's something that's very important because instead of just inflation calculator with 366,000 searches a month, I could get all the people looking for all the inflation and just tell them about my calculator. It's like Kramer on Seinfeld. Why don't you just tell me the movie you'd like to see, right? You're just going to tell them where to go, which is very simple. Using those tools is key. Using Deepseek, we can go through and we can say new chat, and this works in 3 as well. I just don't have my logins on this computer. So I would do create an inflation calculator where someone can put the item and current price and calculate it from an earlier date. Might have trouble because it's got to go and find those dates, because if I have eggs and it doesn't have eggs in the database, I might need to make a database. But this is actually going to go through and figure it out, which is pretty cool, right? Going through and understanding how we're going to aggressively get traffic is key. And this would work with anything, right? You go out there and you're like, 10 things not to say on a first date. What not to say? I mean, there you go. And then you can get them into dating programs and things like that. Or maybe how to repair your marriage, how to lose weight, how to jog every day, how to get motivation. There's lots of things that people want, and what we're doing is we are promoting content that's helpful to that desire, right? What is the desire? What is it they want? How do we help them? And then how do we flip it into something else that they might want? This is super, super key. And having the calculator here, there's our code. And it'll run the HTML. Let's see what it looks like. It'll probably be basic, so I might want to use Bolt or something fancier. But we could see, okay, enter item name, banana. Oh, actually, this would work because it would have the base here. Let's do current price, $1,000, calculate. Banana costing, this would be equivalent to this. Okay, that's cool. So what it's doing is the reverse. Okay, that actually, this is where Deepseek and Deepseek 3 is cool. It thought enough to think, okay, let's get the consumer amounts, let's get a baseline inflation. So like 50 years ago, inflation was 967% or whatever. And it's saying the banana's 1,000, deduct 900%, boom, there's your current price. Does that make sense to everyone? I wouldn't have thought that, which is where Deepseek would actually do that. Now, what are some ways, creative, I can promote this on social media? And it'll actually go through and give you the specifics, right? Super, super big. Okay, let's see here. Okay, the search service isn't working. So travel shopping challenge, okay, what would you, okay, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Let's do this, and let's throw this into Chatgpt. Oh, there we go. So try the calculator in the comments. Cool. Now an image for this. What would grocery bill look like? Let's do 2025. Maybe have the numbers average. And let's see how that works, right? Is this making sense how we're just using AI to kind of walk through our niche, understand the stuff, make helpful things people would want, build up content, maybe build up some other things you can use. Very simple, right? Like, okay, let's make some images. Let's make a calculator. Let's make things that are helpful. How could I help people as much as possible? Like, what would be the perfect thing everyone interested in inflation would want? Like, you think about it. People that are interested in, like, the national debt and government, they like the inflation clock. They love it. Or I think, was it called the inflation or national debt clock? They love that thing. It gets so much traffic, it's not even funny. Why? It's the perfect app for that market. If I was doing magic tricks, is there a way that I could make something perfect for everyone looking at magic tricks, or maybe everyone looking for a specific magic trick, or people who are interested in how much money they'd save gas versus electric car, right? Very important. These are things that people are interested in. What we want to do is we want to think about interest, right? This is the basics of marketing. You go through and you look at it and it's like, okay, what are the basics? A, I, D, A. How does this work with social media? How does this work with making money? How does this work? Okay, because we know attention, interest, desire, action. Okay, but that was primarily back in the days where you had to do paid ads. So like run a TV commercial, get their attention. Whoa, here we are. You got to try this new gum because your breath is bad or whatever. Interest? Oh yeah, my breath was bad one day. Maybe I should have that gum. Desire? Wow, I really need that. Action? I'm going to go out and buy that. Now, when doing traffic, this has a new meaning. Okay? Attention is your title or thumbnail or this. What would your grocery look like in 90, 2008, 2024? Okay? This. Grocery inflation up 83. That's going to get their attention. That's what's on everyone's mind. They're obsessed with the price of eggs, right? I don't know how much it actually affects us, but they are crazy about the price of eggs. It's like they're like $9 million each or something. But going through and looking at the grocery inflation, this will get them to stop and think. Going through and looking at this, it's going to get them to stop and think. That's what we want to do. That is where attention is. Then interest, okay, what can the interest do? Well, maybe we get them to comment, share, visit a web page, take an action, okay? Then we go through and we're like, okay, desire. Okay, we got to make them want something. Okay, well, what do they want? They could want to lower their grocery bill. A lot of people think desire is a product. And in traditional marketing, it is. In this, it's, I could save money. I'm interested in that. And then action would be, fill out the form to get it. Go to my website, download the file, buy the product, join my course, whatever it is. That's what we're going to do. What would your haul look like, your $100 grocery haul look like in this? Cool. Now make the images for each with the price average per year, or what it would have, okay? 3 images. And I think it'll actually make all 3. I haven't tested with the new Gemini, or with the new Chatgpt 4, but I know in the old one, you can have it create like 5, 10 images at a time, which is really cool. And this stuff will get you traffic. You just need to think about how to get people engaged. I mean, there's people out there making cat videos that like, they get a ton of traffic. I don't get it, but to some people that's value. Maybe it takes them out of their everyday life or whatever. Very important. So let's see what this would do. It looks like it's making 1 image so far. Let's see if it makes all of them. So it's doing 1. And then while we're doing that, I can take this image. One of the things I like about Gemini is Gemini actually allows you to paste an image. So I could do new chat. I could say, make an article about this and how to save money on groceries, 10 tips, something like that. And it'll actually go through and it'll make the article around this. Therefore, people looking at this will go read it. It will fit what they're looking for. So I need to get the relevant content to answer. Here's what it is. Decreasing amount of groceries, 100 could buy. Good. Yeah, so it's understanding what I want in a crazy way. Like this is doing crazy. Your $100 grocery haul then versus now, stretching your budget in today's market. That's good. It's non-threatening. It's like, oh, hey, it's just an article. We ain't selling nothing here. And that's what you want to do. You want to mix your content with good, helpful stuff. Like, would a rewards card help? I'm not just doing it because I'm going to get $300 or whatever commission. I'm doing it because it will help them. Because if it won't help them, chances are it's not going to convert anyway. So we want to do both. Give the best interest at heart, and they will come back and keep watching and looking at your content. So here we have this. I can even go through and say, make a table, please. And it'll show what it would look like. Okay. Okay, so there's that table. I would want more of a table of like the actual groceries. So let's take this, copy, let's give this to Chatgpt, and let's see how our images came out. Okay, so it did. There you go. So it did do some of them. I kind of like the comparison one, which is cool. That's what you get now. That's about right, you know? I mean, it's pretty hard to go to the grocery store and spend less than 100 now. Now, make a text table of the items and the change over the years. And this will go through and it'll make the table that we can use as content. A lot of people don't realize, like, table could be good content. A calculator could be good content. A comparison can be good content. Now we're seeing this. Grocery inflation table, 1990, 2008, 25. So gallon of milk, then now. This also would be good. A lot of people don't realize, like taking a screenshot of this, people will be interested. You could say which one affects you most. And they'll comment, and then just get them interested in inflation. Start a group about inflation. All kinds of cool stuff you can do. There's AI groups where you can talk about AI. There's, grocery coupon groups where people talk about different coupons and share coupons. And what you can do is point to things that make you money and also help them. Focus on helping first. If you do this, the traffic will come. If you're focusing on just selling, which most people are, that's why they're not getting traffic, because it's not traffic worthy. This stuff is traffic worthy. Like, okay, if you saw this on Facebook or if you saw this in a blog post, that would get your attention, right? Actually, our sales pitch for AI Profit Scoop, I start out the video with the hamburger because I'm like, hey, you could either go get a Big Mac meal for $18 or you could join AI Profit Scoop for $17. The inflation is in mind. When I did that, things started selling like crazy, which is amazing, right? Looking at that, how can you think different? How can you go out there and make stuff? So, making digital tools for profit. Can you make a calculator, a counter, right? I had a counter years ago that showed what happens on the internet every 60 seconds. Boom, done deal, okay? Now we're good to go. Can you do a lead magnet? Now, I'm usually going to do a calculator or tool. That would be helpful. Like right now, if you were to search GoDaddy appraisal tool, you would see my post, which comes up pretty good. Let's see, GoDaddy appraisal tool, I think is what we're under. Let's see where we're at. Or GoDaddy estimate or something like that. And this gets me traffic literally every day. It was a more expensive tool to make because we did have to tie into the API, but we rank, and we have this tool here where you can go in and say, you know, moneydudeman.com or whatever, and it'll show you the price of whatever. It doesn't matter what domain it is. It could be anything, or you could do like priceofeggs.com. That one's worth $1,500, right? So you can do all kinds of different things like that. And this tool gets me traffic daily. There's always, every time I pull up my live chat program, there are people on that site from that little tool that I made. So thinking about what you can do different, like this isn't the old days where you had to code that. That was before AI. My programmer made that for us. Now I can make this stuff in AI in seconds. Can I make a calculator, a tool, a generator? One of the tools we use, there's an SEO site that'll check all of your links for 404 errors. I use it all the time. There's a lot of SEO companies that make tools that help people. Those are things that are absolutely game changer. And if you didn't see the video on my other channel that talks about tools that I did with Alina, who makes our tools, I think she's actually making them right now. She makes tools for our websites. Definitely watch it because that's something that can put you ahead of the crowd. Those are things that can get you traffic. And all you have to do is a screenshot of it. Like if I had a tool that, you know, converted, I think years ago I bought one that it converted an Excel file into QuickBooks. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll pay for that. Why did I pay for it? Because they showed how it worked. It was a tool that was very easy. Using the thing itself to promote the thing is key. Like if I have a calculator and I can use different things around that, showing how it works to promote it, done deal. Coding assistance, landing pages, all these other things that you can use it for is really cool. Choosing the right AI tools for your traffic, ask AI, right? Go through, say, so here's one on all of these interesting facts about investing. I could go through and I can say, now, what are some tools I can have on my website to attract this traffic? Think calculators, counters, stuff like that, okay? And it'll go in and it'll do the work for me. Now we have points versus cashback value. That's cool. That would make money. Points versus cashback value. So you could show like, oh, if you get a discount at Amazon, is it actually giving you money versus I get actual cash in an account? That'd be pretty cool. And then you can go through and have it actually make them. Points versus cashback value estimator. Now all I would need to do is go to a tool like maybe AI Studio, have it create the tool. Go to Deepseek, have it create the tool. Go to maybe Bolt or whatever and have it create that tool for me, which is going to work in a very, very specific way. If I was to go to bolt.new, I can go through and just pop this in here, say, okay, make this tool, and it'll create it for me. We have lots of videos on Bolt. It's actually very easy to use. So going through looking at this, tools are a game changer for traffic. We can use that. Deepseek Coder version 2 and 3 work really good for that. Chatgpt works fantastic. What we're going to do with Chatgpt is we are going to use the Canvas tool, wherever it's at, somewhere over here. There's Chatgpt, right? And I can say, now convert over to Canvas. Just go right here, okay? And I can say, now make an inflation counter tool HTML or something like that. And it'll actually create that for you, which would be very simple. Okay, and it'll count like, oh, hey, inflation since you opened this page, or whatever it is, or cost of living since you opened this page, or something like that. And you can see it'll make it right like this. And I believe ChatGPT also will create the preview. So let's see how that works. Then I just upload them to my site, get all the traffic to it, and then there you go. Using these different ways to get traffic is key. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you just go through and you go down the list and you focus on helping people out, what would be interesting, right? Does everyone need a 500-page guide about inflation? No. Could they get value out of like, oh, hey, eggs went up this way. Here's 5 substitutes for eggs, right? Here's an inflation counter, past price, 1,000, base year, 2008. There you go. And you can see how that would work. Okay, so let's see if it's right with eggs. Eggs were, let's see, eggs in 1990. And notice how these are fun. Like, how many of you guys, like, you go to a site, you're like, hey, I'm going to check this out. This looks pretty cool. Eggs 1990 price would be $1.01, 101. And base year, okay, so that's a pay, let's see, 2000 estimated. Okay, so there you go. If I bought them in 2008, there we go. So really cool, little tools that you can use, generators. We have tools all over our sites. They get lots of traffic. They work extremely well. You just need to really focus on what do people want? What would they respond to? How can you help them? And then there you go. Using AI in different ways. Here's some different tools and ways you can use. So tools and platforms. Gemini is good for reasoning, long context, big articles, also coding. AI Studio, I would say for coding is going to be, that's going to be the big kahuna. ChatGPT 4, images. You want to make Pinterest images? You want to make little Facebook posts like we're doing here? Thing works like crazy. Deepseek, really good for coding and also understanding people and understanding your market. Mapping out the AI tools you can use. This is one that I actually did in Gemini. I believe, was it Gemini or Deepseek? I think it was Notebook. So in Notebook, I went through and I did the different A-powered, was it this one? March 26th, it might be this one. Yeah, so I went through and I did a traffic generation one. Would this be helpful for people to see, okay, if I want to use deep research, audience analysis, this is what you're going to use it for. Notebook LM, what would you use that for? Organizing, synthesizing. This is stuff that would be super helpful. Now I could go through and I could make a card about it. Watch this. I'll go through, take a screenshot. Let's see here. So I take a little screenshot like this, Notebook LM, boom. And I could go through and say, okay, let's go to ChatGPT, start a new one, make a Facebook teaser image for this about 5 crazy use cases for Notebook LM. And then give it the image. It should do a good job here. And this will be value. People will be like, oh, cool, I didn't know you could do that with that. A lot of cool things. And there's so much stuff out there. You will never run out of content if you use what I'm teaching you here. This is something that'll just keep going and going and going. Marco, yes, this will be recorded, and there's also a deep dive in AI Profit Scoop that I'm going to be loading up later today that's all about traffic methods. So if you want to get that, it's over at aiprofitscoop.com. So now going through and looking at these different things, let's see what our image looks like. Let's see here. Wait for it to load. And now we have the 5 crazy use cases coming up. Looking pretty good. William says, the tech side of this is easy, but it's thinking creatively about tools the way you do is still perplexing. I'm going to have an overview of all these notes. So we're going to go through and make all these notes explainable. We'll have them at aiprofitscoop.com. It's not yet ready. It will be ready. So when it's ready, you'll get it emailed out. But it'll go through and it'll do this. We'll give you a little rundown now of how this works. So deep research and synthesis would be like Gemini or Chatgpt, best for summarizing large information, documents, different things like that. Could I go through, take PLR articles, put them into Chatgpt or put them into Notebook LM and get an overview of all of them? Yeah, I could. Could I put them in there and then extract what would be good from them to get people to that stuff? Right? Like, okay, maybe I have articles about grocery shopping and how to save money. Okay, now I can make content about them because I ran it in Notebook LM to get an overview. Keyword research and clustering. This is one we're going to go through in a later video. So make sure you're subscribed. I'll probably have it maybe next week's live or something like that, where we're going to talk about using Notebook LM, giving it our keywords, making clusters. Now, one of the things to remember about Notebook LM is it doesn't have anything yet. So if you're like, it won't even do anything until you upload a source. So you'd have to have that source there. One of the things you can do is load it with like sitemaps or glossaries in your market and start to understand that as content, right? So if I gave it a glossary, boom, there you go. Or go to Gemini, go to Deepseek, go to another AI, generate a glossary and then throw it in there, right? Maybe I can go through and say something specific. Let's say you wanted to do something very specific. I can do make a full detailed glossary about the, what's it called? Had one in mind and it slipped my mind. Running on empty. Let's see, what was it? It was the underwriting, mortgage underwriting process. And going through like this, make a full detailed glossary about the mortgage underwriting process. So it's going to go through, it'll understand it. And that's what this is about. Like, if you think about how humans think, right? There's like a big debate right now, does AI plagiarize? Well, as Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. Does it take things it shouldn't? Sometimes, yeah. I think some is programmed. There is a gray area there. But for the most part, it's doing the same thing we do. Like if I went and read websites and learned things and then came out with my own book, hey, I went out there and learned the information and I put my own take on it. There's nothing really new. I mean, you think about how many books and websites have been written about the Bible. How many of them are the same? Well, like a million of them. They're all the same. Why? Because people think the same. But if I can go through and use this and think differently and think ahead of what they want, like this is someone looking for mortgage underwriting, okay? Who is that person? What do they want? What does the process look like? Can I make a timeline? Can I make a guide of what they would need? Watch this. We take this, we put this into Notebook LM, which now allows you 300 at the Pro version. I can put this in here. I can have 299 others. Go find a bunch of videos. Go find a bunch of tools. Go in here and then say, okay, let's get a mind map. Let's get an FAQ. Let's get a timeline. Then I can say, what would these people looking this stuff up want? Okay, and you can actually talk to it right here. And now, here's our mind map, underwriting key terms. Okay, let's see, there we go. Just took, whoa, there's a lot of terms. So here's our key terms here. Okay, so there's your key terms. Make content on those terms. Pretty cool. Next up, underwriting process. What does that look like? Zoop. Gathering information. Okay, so what would I need? And it's actually describing that one part, right? Seeing visual data is game-changing. This is something that a lot of people don't realize has absolutely changed the way you can make content. And now, understanding it, I mean, it's pretty much game over here. The AI is doing everything for us. Let's see how it's working on this. It's being a little slow, but you can see that's working pretty good. Now, for videos, you can use Sora, you can use AI tools, you can use all kinds of other stuff. Sora actually came out recently where the paid account doesn't have a limit on credits anymore. So it's actually giving me all the stuff. I can make as many as I want as long as it has the bandwidth to do it. Keyword research, Chatgpt is going to be good for that. I think Chatgpt will take Excel files, so you could just throw keyword reports in there. Content creation, Chatgpt and Gemini. Although I have found that content creation with Claude is actually really good too. So that's a really good one to use. Content refinement and SEO optimization. ChatGPT, Grammarly has a good AI for that to check your plagiarism and everything. I would say going through and understanding first is going to be key. So start with Deepseek, understand the keyword, move it over, get the outline, and then make the article based on the outline. You'll have something custom that no one else has. Schema markup generation. This is like creating tools and things, I believe. You're going to use Deepseek, ChatGPT. Advanced stuff would be like Bolt. Ad copy generation. This said ChatGPT and Gemini. I'm going to disagree with it on there. I'm going to say Deepseek is going to be the game changer for copywriting. And again, these are all skills that you can learn, you can make money with while you're building up your audience. It's about audience building. Social media content. ChatGPT right now is winning the game on that. I think social media content, that is definitely winning. Gemini, good for repurposing long-form content into informational snippets. Okay, that's good. Making little announcements, making little images like this, stuff like that. Using Gemini to get the content for this, because that's what we did. Remember, we had the Notebook LM. We used this schema, or whatever it was, the thing, this thing, right? The tree to get that stuff. And you were just going through the rungs on the tree, which is really cool. Going through social media, email copy, ChatGPT is probably going to be the best for that. It's quick, it's easy. What I would do is take snippets of emails that you like, that you respond to, that have been around a while, maybe go look up top 100 subject lines. Okay, and then you can, what you're doing is you're using AI to learn faster and better and using it for your stuff. So it doesn't only just apply it and do it for you, it teaches you if you're paying attention. Like if I was to go through and get a list, let's say we wanted to do top 100 email subject lines of all time. I could go through and I could take this. So here's one with 100 of the best ones. Let's see, does it actually list them? Cool. So it does list them. So I'm going to get this list. Obviously, you would want to get multiple sources, but this will give you the idea of how it works. Okay, so we're going to do this here. I would go into Notebook, and I would be like, okay, plus, create new. Let's give it the 100 subject lines. Tell me about these subject lines. And it actually knew they were subject lines, which is cool. Now, as I go through, I'm guessing that the mind map, wherever it went, did it disappear? There it is. The mind map, I'm guessing it'll organize them into type. Informational, sales, money, this, that, or the other. Where could you get cheap traffic to buy? Just about finding the low cost. Cheap traffic is relevant, right? So you might think traffic is expensive. That's because you don't know how to convert it, or you have the wrong offer. It's relative. People that are like, oh, I want traffic for a penny a click, you can buy as much as you want. It might be junk traffic. So the goal would be learning how to convert that traffic. So you got to kind of look at it and understand it's not just about cheapest or most. It's about what's actually going to help. It's about, you know, what kind of traffic do I want? We went over that in the beginning. If you're just tuning in, watch the replay. I think you'll really like it. So let's see what the mind map looks like for this. Subject line, intrigue. Okay, cool. So intrigue, urgency, relevance, personalization, clarity, and consciousness. Good. So I could go through and I can even have ChatGPT come up with more and put them in. So now we have unbelievable, life-changing, secret, find out, missing. I mean, do you guys see how this is like, now I can learn. I can keep this here when I want to write a subject line. Boom, there we go, right? And if you want to download this, you could say which subject line would fit this the best. Boom, it'll do it, and it'll show you examples cool stuff. Very, very important. And a lot of people don't realize that this is a teaching thing for you as well as a creator. A lot of people are like, I just want to create content. Let's just make some articles and try to rank. Okay, that's not always the best way to go. We want to go through and do good stuff. Press release drafting, Chatgpt, Gemini, also Deepseek's probably pretty good at that too. I've tested that. Domain competitor analysis support. I'm going to say having a keyword tool and then run it in Notebook, because Notebook will take 300 different sources, which, I mean, I can have 300 competitor sites if I want, and throw them in there, throw the keywords in there, figure out where the overlaps are and stuff like that. If you don't have the mind map button, I'm not sure why. I think it is on the paid version. I'm not positive, though. So, you'd have to look at that. But yes, it is. I think it's $20 a month or something like that. Tool development, I'm going to use Deepseek. I'm also going to use Chatgpt and Gemini. Actually, all of them will work. If you're going to do a robust code, definitely use something like Bolt. Key takeaways here. There's no single best tool. A lot of people are like, I just want the best AI tool. Best for what? What are you trying to do with it? Again, one size fits all doesn't work for your market, and it doesn't work for you. If you're serious about doing this and you want to create this in a way that's going to get you traction, then you need to really, really focus. Use the tools together. I showed you how we're using Notebook LM and also using Gemini and also using ChatGPT. And then we're using ChatGPT to make the images and using the articles and everything. Prompt engineering, learn how to prompt correctly. Just asking it to write an article, everyone can do that. If everyone can do it, then it's going to gravitate towards break even or not making anything. We want to get better. Experiment with it and learn from it. Now, some oversight or some implementations and best practices. Human oversights is non-negotiable. Fact check, edit for your brand, voice, tone, or accuracy. Again, if you want the best piece of content, act like your visitor who's using AI to get it. Okay? Think about it different. I liken this to, like, if you ever saw the WALL-E movie where the guy who is the driver of the ship is talking to the co-pilot, right? And the co-pilot is like the AI, and he's like, oh, hey, define this. And he's like, oh, people used to do that when they danced. And he's like, well, what's dancing? Define dancing. Oh, they did that when they were in love. Now define love. Now define this. Now define that. And it's going down a thought trail, and your job is predict that thought trail, figure out what they'd want, give it to them quicker. And if you can do that, you will win. Add unique value. What is the value you're bringing? Maybe your value is just comparing a bunch of things together. Maybe your value is bringing something to people who don't know it. Maybe the vast majority of people don't know how to save money. You are showing them how. Ensure an originality by using plagiarism checkers like Grammarly, stuff like that. I find that the more conversation you have with the AI, the less plagiarism you're going to get because it's custom. Think differently. Ethical. Always be transparent, avoid misinformation. If you're doing affiliate offers, tell them you're doing affiliate offers. Focus on user value. Use AI to enhance quality, relevance, not just quantity. A lot of people are using AI to do quantity, quantity, quantity. You see people making videos like they're going out of style with AI, and is it the best videos? No, a lot of them aren't. Is it the best content? No, a lot of it isn't. We want to do the best we can. Use AI to be a better human rather than just shortcut things. Very important. Measure and iterate. Use analytics. Look at what ranks. Look at what works. Look at what people respond to. Ask it. Say, hey, you know what? This one got 10,000 shares. Why did people share this and not this? Very important. Okay, if you can compare, that's key. Integrated workflow. Start to use these tools daily in everything you're doing. AI offers a huge potential for traffic generation. The winning formula is strategic AI integration, human insight, deep research, user-centric value. A lot of people don't know how to use deep research correct. If you know how to use it, you can get an output unlike anything else. Knowing how to search and understand is key. Use AI wisely as your co-pilot and be guided by fundamentals. Now, again, these notes and a full deep dive on this will be over at AIProfitScoop.com. Here are some search engines to look at. We went over the traffic methods. Now let me show you where the traffic is. If you're looking at search engines, Google, Bing, those are the biggest. YouTube also has a search function. Pinterest also has a search. Looking at these, like, okay, what does Pinterest rank for? Could I piggyback on something that's already ranking? Now, we don't want to do that as like parasite SEO, but can you build an audience on one of these? Yes, you can. Very, very important. Use these ethically as a means to build an audience, not just to get one-off traffic. This is how you're going to grow. Social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, Reddit, Quora, Snapchat. Again, over at AI Profit Scoop, we will have the list with the methods and how they work and what you're going to use them for. Like if you're going to use Reddit, you can do comment threads or discussions or research or whatever. If you're going to do TikTok, ChatGPT will make video scripts. Pinterest, we just saw ChatGPT can actually make a Pinterest, even though it's taken like an hour to make this one. You know, we're okay there. You can also go through and do LinkedIn, where you can draft articles and things like that. But it's all very specific, and if you go out there and do it and focus on your viewer, you will be doing good. Content publishing, again, you could host videos on YouTube, Medium, you can do articles. SlideShare, this is one a lot of people don't look at, but it ranks really, really, really well. Going through and understanding, hey, I can make educational presentations, I can get SEO, ranks for all kinds of stuff, works extremely well. Ad networks, if you're doing paid ads, you got Google, Native, Taboola, Outbrain, Amazon, and on we go. Referral sources, we can do niche blogs. Can you do a guest post? Can you make a good guest post? Can you do an affiliate webinar or something like that? Again, it's about value. The realtor out there that's going to get the most business is the one that's loud in the community helping people out. Instead of saying, hey, I sold a house next door, or I'm Bob the friendly realtor with a fancy new hat, nobody cares. What if I sent postcards? It's like, the real estate market is tanking. Here's a secret way to get more for your house. Yeah, I'm going to open that. I don't care about Bob the realtor. I care about what is it going to do for me. Looking at your content in terms of marketing in what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What am I going to get? When I read this, what's in it for me? Well, I'm going to use Notebook to make money. That's what's in it for me. I'm going to read this thing to save money on groceries. That's what's in it for me. Attention. What's in it for me equals attention. What is in it for me to watch this? If it's a cat video, it might just be curiosity. That might be it. But looking at that and understanding is key. Direct and email traffic. Again, using it to brand, get traffic back to you. I'm going to use a tool like Aweber to build the list. Obviously, make sure they opt in and they want the info. Don't want to do anything shady or weird. Focus on real stuff. Then you could go through and you can email them helpful things. Again, getting the interest, getting them back to your site. That's going to signal, hey, this site gets traffic. And then people are going to look you up. You're going to get branded traffic, everything like that. So going through, last one is code and tool development, which is really good. Again, if you want notes from this, check out AIProfitScoop.com. We're going to have all the notes. You can print them out. You can use them. You can put them in Notebook LM and learn. But practice these things because they will get you traffic if done correctly. It's about compound, building, helping, and growing. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button. Check out AIProfitScoop.com.